I'm Trevor Castle with Central College softball coach George Wares, previewing Central's spring break trip to Tucson, Arizona this weekend for the NFCA Leadoff Classic. Central off to a 2-0 start with a pair of wins in Rochester, Minnesota on Saturday night. Coach, thanks for joining us and congratulations on a nice start to the season. Can you fill the viewers in on what went down in a 9-1, 8-0 sweep of Eau Claire and Dominican on Saturday?
Yeah, we're still not going back, but I've said that before. It was a really good start. We talked briefly because you were up there, and you never know what to expect. And obviously, veterans, you have a little bit better idea, but everybody's a little different in how they start the season. And we had a lot of freshmen, particularly in the circle and behind the plate, and we were happy. I thought we got really good performances from all three of our freshman pitchers and Lauren Shirley, our senior. I thought our younger catchers were solid, and Emma Johnson, the other young player that we had in left field, was solid. And we were very, I don't think we were surprised. We were pleased. We knew what our ceiling was, and we weren't anything close to our ceiling. But you also know that you can start pretty low sometimes in that first game, especially when you play a team that normally is as good as Eau Claire. So we were happy. I think confidence is up, and we're excited about taking that now to the outdoor part of our season.
The one thing that I noticed the most, and I talked to you about it right afterwards, was the versatility of your team. And it's something that I think might drive Larry Hopple nuts as the season goes on with all the substitutions and changes. But you really have so many players that can play so many different positions, that can run, pinch hit. How do you, as a coach that has those tools in the toolbox, how do you go about using those at their best?
Well, that's a good thing, and obviously if we stay healthy, this is going to be as deep a team as we've had. And I've always said, depth can be a problem because it just means your starters maybe aren't good enough. But I don't think that's the case here. Even if you look at our pitching, we're going to have a lot of options in terms of whether somebody goes 7 and starts the second game or we make a quick change. And same thing behind the plate. The most obvious one is at third base where we got Paige Roque, and she was fine. But we're not sure what we're going to do there. And obviously we can have Sponder hit and then make the change that you alluded to with Andreessen moving to third and Bert going to second, and then we can also bring in Macy Fritz. And so, we have a lot of options like that, and I think it's just important for us as coaches to time that correctly and make sure we're not doing it just to do it and get people in the game, but there's a purpose for it, and I think we eventually need to get our players to understand why we're doing it, so it's easier for them to buy in, and it definitely gives us some legitimate options in terms of doing what we want situationally during the course of a game.
Up next is the Leadoff Classic, going to Tucson, Arizona for 6 games, 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday against some of the best teams in the country. Why is this such a special trip that you make a point of being a part of every opportunity you can?
Well, it's an honor for any team to go play in it, and we want to thank our administration because normally we go during our spring break, and so we're going a weekend that isn't our spring break, and we're really excited about that. Some schools don't get that opportunity, and you get to play really good programs. I think that's really important. It's not like you're playing a good team. You're playing programs that have a solid culture. They know what they want to do. They're well coached. They have an idea of how they're going to approach you, and so it just challenges you and gives you, I think, a little more understanding of what you need to do before you get into the conference part of it. And then just the atmosphere. You've got programs from all across the country, and our sport is really unique in that. You look at our football team, they can't do this. Our basketball team to a degree, they can go maybe play in Vegas and play 2 or 3 teams, but we can play a lot of teams geographically that are not in our area. And I think softball, because of that, gives you a better feel for what different pockets of the country are like when they play each other. So we're really excited about it, and I hope our fans that go out there really appreciate some very good softball and watch some of the games, not just the ones that we're involved in.
Can you take the viewers through what the weekend does look like? 6 games, 4 teams that you've never played before.
And that's exciting. We start off with Transylvania. And I say this respectfully, but I'm a big fan of Dracula movies, and isn't there something about Transylvania?
Right.
They're from Kentucky, but I don't know why I went with that. And I see Larry smiling and kind of shaking his head. So all the social media that know us know what I'm talking about when I say Larry did not really appreciate that comment. But anyway, back to the real part of it. Transylvania is really good, and you look at the teams we're playing. Transylvania's picked to win their league. DePaul's picked to win their league. Mary Hardin Baylor, their divisions, they're picked to win their division. LeTourneau's picked second behind ETBU in their division, and Claremont's picked to win the California League, and we're picked to win ours. So it's a challenging schedule. I think it's kind of nice to play different people. The players probably don't know any different, but from a coaching standpoint, when you look at myself and Coach O'Brien, who've been doing this a long time, it's nice for us to have some fresh faces as far as our opponents and who they are. And then we've got two that we played fairly recently in DePaul and Claremont. And I look at it as most of these games are 50-50 games. You know, I mean, the likelihood of one getting out of hand one way or the other is pretty strong when you play 6 games early in the season in 3 days. But if it's a normal type setting or scenario, we're probably going to have a lot of 4-3, 5-4, 3-2 games. And that's important for us because our freshman pitchers looked really, really good in I'll use this word respectfully, kind of blowout games. At least they became that. And, you know, how are they going to handle 3-2 in the 7th? We're up and bases loaded against us. And that's some of the information we want to find out before we get to Florida and then also before we head into the conference. But, again, it's a challenging schedule, and, you know, we'll be 4-2, 3-3, 2-4, who knows? And I just hope we play well and get better each pitch, and the wins will take care of themselves. But it was important to get 2, I think, in the Dome because we have 2 wins in the bank, and I do think that takes a little bit of the edge or pressure off. I guess we don't want to take the edge off, but the pressure to feel like you have to win games, and anytime you feel like you have to win games, you usually don't. So we just want to get better and hope we can win as many as we can.
And to close it out, can you or have you tried to quantify how big of a jump you're going to take from Eau Claire, who's a tradition-rich program, but again, they're fairly young this year. Dominican, you know, not to the caliber of the 6 teams you'll see this weekend. How big of a leap will you be taking when you step onto the field Friday?
Well, I think Eau Claire's as good as any program that we're facing. You know, I mean, recently Mary Hardin Baylor has been obviously very, very good. Transylvania has been really good the last 3 or 4 years, and DePaul has been solid. So I don't think there's any difference there. I think being outdoors is going to make a difference, and the atmosphere in itself, you know, even though it was noisy and a lot of people there, this is going to be a little different because you've got fans from all over the country that are used to seeing good softball. Now you're going to be part of that as far as our players being watched by other fans. And I think the big thing is you never know who's going to pitch. You know, even in our scenario, we feel good because we're fairly deep, so we hope it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. But, you know, you look at Transylvania, they've got one really, really good pitcher and then some pretty good ones. And you've got DePaul, who's got a really good pitcher and some pretty good ones. So I'm okay if they throw the pretty good one. You know, I mean, from a competitive standpoint, you want to face the really, really good ones because that's going to challenge your hitters more. But, you know, if we face the, quote, ace of all 6 opponents, it's going to be a little more difficult to win than if we face a number 2 or 3 once in a while. So I think that's going to be the biggest difference. When they play their best lineup, including their best pitcher, it's going to be a significant step up, and you just don't know what's going to play out in that.
All right, again, 2 games Friday, 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday. All of them will be audio streamed at KRLS.com. You can go to the website for the link there, and Larry will be providing his fantastic recaps as well afterwards. Coach, we'll see you in Tucson.
Okay, looking forward to it. Thank you very much.